Right, that's the stage plan, Lulu. So, getting back on track. Well, so why I think Carl Jung was more like, i.e. resembled, INFJ more than INTP. One, he was really into the unconscious and mystical. Yes, he explained it in an INTP way, but this is something that Maria has talked to me about the beneficiary shift, that where, and frequently you'll encounter it in Facebook views, where INTJs will act like and think like INTP. It's called the beneficiary shift because it's where you have tertiary TI and lead NI, and that's a social mission block in the model of INTP. Maria told me about that when she talked about she sort of shifted into INTP when she was younger. The way he writes about TE, he writes about it being mundane and all of these things, and basically just the fact he writes about TE like a TE break person. Also, very positive with the SE DOMs. So, an INTP is not going to write this about the extroverted sensing type. He is by no means unlovable. On the contrary, his lively capacity for enjoyment makes him very good company. He is usually a jolly fellow and sometimes a refined aesthete. In the former case, the great problems of life hang on a good or indifferent dinner. In the latter, it's all a question of good taste. Well, it's a nice bit of wit as well. But an INTP would not write like that. I mean, if you look at the way Victor defines extroverted sensor, he's got coordinate power, sensing, bring up the aggressive aspect, the break function would come through. Just like Carl Jung's break function came through with the definition of TE. He really sort of patronizes it as like superficial and mundane. The way he talks about FE DOMs is quite patronizing. If you look at the way Dario talks about SE DOMs in this book, 8 Keys to Self-Leadership, Dario really likes SE DOMs, and that's because they are his jewel. So I will give you an example of just how much Dario likes SE DOMs. This will give you an example. And he's actually chosen it as his example type. Right. At some point, they're ready to engage the process in its most mature form, pulling off results and spurring action from others simply by making their presence felt. Now, that is something which is not in the American definition of extroverted sensing. He has put that himself. It's in the Socionics definition. But I've looked in this book, Building Blocks of Personality, which is the semi-official MBTI definition of the functions. You got Catherine D. Briggs there. And the way he talks about extroverted sensor, Dario. So basically, he really likes it and admires the process. So you would expect to get the similar thing from Jung about FE, but you don't. Now, I suppose the only thing which counts against his best fit type resemblance being INFJ is that he's quite negative on FE. But I've actually heard that from quite a few INFJs. And remember, when he's writing a description of FE, he'll be thinking about ESFJ, which is the supervisee of INFJ. And so it tends to patronize it a bit. So, but the only thing that goes against it is that FE is supposed to be the auxiliary function of INFJ. However, that may be confined in his case to the counselor role. Now, of course, non-INFJs can also enact the counselor role. So, for example, INFP and even INTP. So, for example, David Kersey Sr. trained as a counselor. He worked with delinquent boys. And Linda Burns trained as a counselor, but then she moved into something else. So, but overall, the things he talks about and the way he talks, and his focus in his other writings on very mystical stuff is more NF than NT. The other thing I've heard for him is INTJ, because of the focus on it, because people just think, oh, he was clever and he wrote about all this NI stuff. But see, the thing is, though, he was so negative on TE, really was, that makes me think not INTJ, but NI Dom is. So all the INF. So there's an example of an INFJ where when the INFJ is academic, people might think that they're. And also at that time, here's another one at that time, and the way he writes about it, this might prove his FE. He knew that if he wrote about being an INFJ, people might think he's weird. And so, at the time, so if he wrote about being INTP, he'd want to give the impression of being a logical, rational type because he would get more credit in the academic field. So, I mean, if you're going to give a definition of this, when he write the about the NI Dom appearing crazy, right, and then you type Nietzsche as an NI Dom who went crazy, and then you're not going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, I'm one of them." You're going to appear more logical. It's just that INFJ resemblers are very much stimulated by TI. Now, usually what happens is the TI is just the starter motor for the NI stuff. So the question then becomes ultimately, how long can they keep it up for? And also, if you're an INFJ and you want to know whether you're more INFJ or INTP, really it comes down to intertype relations as to how you view ESTP. Because INTPs are going to be intimidated by ESTPs for two reasons. One, the power sensing, and two, they're smart in the situation, and yet you cannot predict how they think because they will sometimes not be smart and not do the logical thing. Whereas with other people, you can think, oh, if they do that and that and that and that and that. So that's the thing. Very unpredictable, yet also smart. So INTPs have that problem with the STP. A bit of a digression, but you know, something else. There you go. Lolo, Wilma and Rena. That is the name of the stage play. And here are some bits on the back. There we go. Best bearded buddy of the CIA competition. It's all blurred. Oh well. We can't have everything in this life. It'd take too long to readjust it. If you go to the website, you will see the quotes on the back, and you can read the first 10 pages for free. And we're there to support the channel. Support the channel, and you get a stage play. Whether it's funny or not is up to you. But if you think I'm funny, I think the stage play is funnier than me. If you think I'm not funny, you'll think the stage play is.